All right. So today I'm going to talk about um, why I decided to leave social media. You know what prompted me to get off social media, get rid of all my, you know, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Really, I guess what prompted it to begin with is for about 9, 10 years I was pursuing a music career. I was producing, recording. I was pretty much everything. I was my own PR. I was doing everything pretty much myself. Um, it was something that I was really passionate about, something that I was doing for a while. And you know, to be honest, I loved it while I was doing it. And my main goal initially was to be known for my music, for people to know about me. And like any new musician, I wanted to be famous, which throughout the years, it was like 9 or 10 years of going after that. I started learning a lot about what that means, what it means to be famous, what it means to have everybody know who you are. And as the years went on, I I changed from wanting to make music because I really enjoyed it, and I went into wanting to make music because I just wanted people to know who the fuck I was. And that's when I started becoming more frustrated. I started really getting away from the sole purpose of why I was doing music, which was because I loved music. And throughout that process, I just became so frustrated because I felt like I was working so hard trying to put out quality music and quality stuff, and I was improving upon all that stuff, and really trying to give people what they wanted to hear. And I wasn't getting the notoriety for it. Like I wasn't getting the. I was looking for something uh, that wasn't there, to be honest. And I just became frustrated because I was putting so much effort into it and I wasn't getting anything out of it, or so I thought. Um, I realized that I was getting a lot out of it. I was getting life experience. I was, throughout my music career, I was actually able to um, meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have. I got to open up for some big names, some big acts that I never would have been able to had I not done music. So I actually gained a lot of stuff out of it. When I towards the end of I don't want to say towards the end of my music career, but towards the end where I kind of started getting to the point where I was like, man, fuck this. Like, what am I really going for? And I kind of grew out of the love of music. I started realizing that I was getting a lot more out of life, the real life, as opposed to social media and stuff. Because everybody, you post something and you're like, I want this to go viral, or I want to get a thousand views, or whatever the hell it is, likes, and all that stuff. And I realized that's all just, it's not real shit, man. That's like, it's like it's fake. It's fake. What would you call it? Acceptance, I guess you can say. And you see it nowadays where people do have fully funded careers from, documenting their everyday life. But behind closed doors, when you actually look at those people, if you actually met them behind the scenes after the camera, they're like some of the saddest people. Like, not trying to be mean, but like those are people that they've given up 100% of their freedom to be sort of transparent in video. And it's like you're seeing this side of them that's not the real part of them. And to be honest, it's probably the side of them that they dislike the most, um, because they've had to change so much. Um, they've had to manipulate themselves so much to get those views and to get that notoriety, that they know that it's not them. And I just did not want to do that. I wasn't willing to put myself out there like that, and uh, like take away from my life experience to post it on like a social media site. So I got rid of all my social media. I mean, there was like this one day where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just scrolling through Instagram. Like, the, what am I actually getting out of it? Like, I'm putting all my time into something and I'm literally getting nothing out of it. There's no joy, there's no happiness, there's no positive things that are coming out of me browsing through social media, other than maybe some gratification of like, I feel like most of Instagram and most of social media now is just people bragging about themselves and how great they are and how they just made the best food or they just ate the best sandwich. And dude, that shit is like so pointless. Like if you can really, if by the end of your life, if you can say that you've made some sort of positive change somewhere, I feel like that's like a pretty good accomplishment. Not sitting there saying like, oh, well, I went viral on YouTube or I went viral on Facebook or whatever, and I had all these likes and all my friends in there. It's like you don't really know any of those people that are following you. You know, it's all just like it's like a facade, which is not gratifying at all. And this kind of, my mindset started to change once my wife and I, when we moved away from Florida, we ended up we started living in a 30-foot RV camper, and that kind of changed my perspective because we had all this stuff. Like we had a pretty big apartment in Florida, and it was like a 1,100 square foot apartment that was actually pretty empty. Like if you look into it, most people would be like, wow, that's really empty. But when it came time to like get rid of shit that we didn't need so that we could fit everything that we did need in the RV, that made me realize how much stuff like we as humans clutter. Like we just keep stuff for no purpose at all. And I watched so many videos of people minimalizing and trying to figure out like what they could do without. And one of the biggest things, one of the most important things that still sticks in my head today is if you can pick up, let's say you're going through your clothes. What clothes do I need? What do I wear? What do I not wear? If there's a piece of clothing that you haven't touched in, a year or 5-6 months, figure out if that piece of clothing like provides anything for you. Does it provide happiness for you? Is it joy? Like when you put that shirt on, is it something that represents you that you feel really good about? Or do you not wear that shirt for a reason? Like maybe that shirt isn't providing anything for you other than you not being naked, which is like awesome if you're trying not to get arrested. But realistically, if it doesn't provide anything for you, why do you have it? And we as humans, we collect things, and we have so many things that don't provide anything for us, and so our lives are just clogged up with a bunch of shit that we don't need. That's really kind of putting a burden on us in a sense, because you may not think about it, but when you come home from work or school or wherever the hell you come home from, and you see stuff like something sitting in the corner, or you see stuff like in the back of your mind, your brain is so stressed out because you're trying to figure out, like, you feel like you have to do something, like not maybe with that specific thing, but like you feel like you're never accomplished. And as I got rid of stuff, and as Val and I transitioned into living in the RV and renovating it and stuff, we got like a really good feel for what we truly needed. I mean, what we truly need is something to cook food on, a nice bed to sleep in, coverage, which like we didn't have like 1,100 square foot roof over our head, but we had I've never slept so damn good until we lived in that RV for 5 months. Like that was the best thing that I've ever done. Would I live in an RV again? No, probably not. But that's because I've learned from that. And when we did buy a house, we stayed to those rules of not cluttering things up. We definitely have more stuff than when we had our RV, but that's just stuff that couldn't fit in an RV. Like we have a bigger TV, we have a little bit more dishes in our kitchen, so that when we have people over, they can we have enough stuff for people. But that's all stuff that adds value at some point. Now, does that mean I'm saying that I have things that like that all the stuff I have has a purpose? No, because it's human nature to have things that like just collect things, and there's constantly advertisements and things out there that make us we feel the need to get stuff because it seems cool or it seems whatever. And you really have to kind of figure out what that is for you, what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. Get rid of the fluff, keep the stuff that is providing something for you. So kind of back to the social media thing, that shit wasn't providing anything for me. Now I know what you guys are thinking. I still have social media because YouTube is pretty much social media. It's a little bit different of a platform, but it realistically is social media. However, I do use YouTube quite frequently. Yeah, I do go down some rabbit holes and I watch pointless shit that doesn't really provide anything for me. It's entertainment, but when I walk away from it, I can't say that I've learned anything new or anything. But at the same time, I use YouTube a lot for my schooling. I use it to look up things like how-to videos, stuff that I'm gonna remember and use in my everyday life. So in that way, it is providing much, much more for me than your typical, than like Instagram and stuff. Because Instagram and Facebook, it's really just to like brag about what you have. Or at least that's what it's come into. There are a few instances where, actually one in particular, my wife, she discovered years and years ago, a few years ago actually, that she had another sister, because she was adopted from Europe, and she found out she had another sister that was somewhere out there that had been adopted pretty much right after birth, and she used social media, Facebook particularly, to create a page that would help her find her sister. And the most amazing thing about it is she did find her sister, or her sister found her. Her sister's friend actually came across the post and said, "Hey, you might want to check this out, because all this information that's in this Facebook pretty much points towards you and your information, what your name used to be when you were first born over in Europe." Turns out her sister was adopted by an American family who lived in Ohio. And that's amazing. Like, that's stuff that social media is so powerful for. Now, I know it wasn't intended for that. It was intended to connect friends and be able to be in touch with people and share your adventures and vacations, stuff you do like that. But it's kind of turned into a, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing type thing. But that's kind of a small story of the more positive side of social media. So in that aspect, I can totally jump on board with social media. But the majority of it for what social media has become, I can't really get on board with it. It's just not, it doesn't provide anything for me. And I just find myself scrolling through people's stuff and looking at cool stuff that by the end of it, I consumed an hour of my life, yet I have nothing out of it. I don't feel any different. If anything, I feel more negative. Like, I feel like I've wasted an hour of my life. And for personal reasons, like I've kind of struggled over the last couple of years, actually really since I was, the last 11 years I've struggled with like forms of depression and stuff like that. And for me, social media kind of triggered that stuff, because it was, I guess with my form of depression, I want to feel like I'm always doing something, like I'm busy, like I'm working towards a goal. And right now I'm in a really awesome place in my life where I am actually working towards a goal, and I'm able to focus on that goal, which I'm so excited about. But social media was taking that away from me, or I was allowing it to. So I ended up getting rid of it because of that, for my own, to make myself better. Now everybody's going to have a different reason for doing it, whether it's maybe you had a negative experience on there and you also felt the same way. But for the most part, most people who jump off social media have a similar experience that makes them feel that way. So, if you guys are wondering, I'm in my college parking lot right now. I have a break between my class. So yeah, I'm taking a break. But yeah, like, everybody has their own reason why they get off social media, which is okay. So yeah, that's pretty much like the main reason why I jumped off social media, and why I decided to really only have YouTube. I never intended to get on YouTube to create videos, but it ended up just happening because that one video that I did with people. Sorry, I got a notification. The one video that I had where I talked about somebody parking in a bad, like the wrong parking spot, that really pissed me off so much that I had to like say something about it. So with that being said, that's what kind of sparked me to say, you know what? I'm not going to document like my everyday life, because honestly my everyday life is kind of boring, or to other people it would be anyways. But I'm going to document stuff that comes up ideas that I have, you know. So that's kind of where I came up with that whole idea. But yeah, to each is their own. If you dig social media, if you feel like you're actually getting something out of it, you know, don't listen to what I say and jump off social media just because I did it. But definitely kind of reflect on that. If you feel like it's not really providing anything for you, and you could, you know, be spending your time doing some other stuff that might be more positive, that might be more beneficial, definitely do that. You know, it's only going to help our generation and generations to come. So that's pretty straight and to the point right there. My brother, you know, my one thing that I do, which I think a lot of people do when you get older, is you start to reflect on, man, I wouldn't want to, like, you reflect on what your generation was like and how you grow up, and you're like, man, I couldn't imagine growing up in the, you know, the way things are now. Like, I couldn't imagine growing up my brother's age now if I could see what I did have. Like what I ended up with now, I'm totally cool with and I'm happy with it. I couldn't imagine knowing all that information and then going back. No fucking way. But it's really the same for everybody. But kind of getting back to what I was saying, like, people in my brother's generation are like, they grew up with cell phones. There was no like it in my generation, we learned about cell phones. I had, like, my stepdad had cell phones because he had a business, and that's really all it seemed like it was for. Like, businesses were getting cell phones, you know, because it was more convenient for them. And then all of a sudden it became a consumer thing. And by the time my brother's generation came around, it had been a consumer product for so damn long that parents were giving their kids, like, iPhones at the age of like 5 or 6 or 7, and these kids are just buried in these phones. And I don't think it's positive. I mean, I think it's just as, I think it's similar to saying, like, you know, I'm trying to think, like, people who start, let's say people who start smoking marijuana past a certain age, they can decipher, like, if it's a problem, and they can control it. They have more control over it because they've grown past that stage of, you know, those teenage years, and have become an adult, and they're able to make, you know, semi-smart decisions. Well, if you start somebody off at a young age, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old, smoking pot, there's going to be a different outcome of that. You take a person who started smoking pot when they were 12, and then you take someone who started smoking pot when they were like 22, they're going to be vastly different. Sorry, I'm watching this lady so she doesn't hit me. Some people just don't know how to park. But you'll notice that. And that's the same with cell phones. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 16. And yeah, I went through my years of being buried in my phone, but at the end of the day, like, I'm still able to realize that it became a problem with being on social media, and I was able to, like, chill that out. A lot of people in the young years who've gotten cell phones, they're not able to decipher that. It's just, like, so normal for them that they don't see that there's a problem, and there's a huge problem. So yeah, just my rant for today. I'm actually gotta go back to class in a little bit, but I appreciate you guys checking out the video. No one's here on the live version of it, but I know a few people are gonna check it out here and there. So once again, thanks guys for checking it out. Feel free to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Hit them likes button. Yo, let's get them likes through the roof. I'll tell you what, if you guys give me 2 likes, I'll send you out a cheeseburger. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.